I feel like both these guys by nature are pretty aggressive, right? And I think both of them should make a lot of units. That is definitely not Reynor, unless Reynor recently joined Gina Green Wings and actually became Korean. Anyway, this is going to be a fun one, guys. On the left top side of Acropolis, we're looking in the main base of our blue Zerg. That is going to be Solar. Got a bit confusing with those webcams, you know. Like,
His opponent in the opposite corner with the red drones, we have Reynor.
I think a lot of the Europeans in general, the way they're so vocal and cocky. I mean, when I say the Europeans, it's mostly just a couple of them that are really outspoken. I don't think I need to mention any names here for you guys to know what I'm talking about. But it's a lot about the openings as well, right? I feel that certain Korean openings are just weak and they make no sense and they'll die against X, Y, Z. Now, like I said, Reynor by default is a pretty aggressive player. I'm curious to see if he can truly find like a strategic edge here somewhere against Solar, or if it just mostly comes down to execution.
There we go. We got Reynor on camera again as well. Looks like they're in the same room. Well, they technically are, I guess, but there's like a glass panel between
They're sitting across from each other. It's always fun because whenever you walk into the player booth here and you talk to one player, you see the other player staring at you from across the room. It's like, are you on his side now? It's like, no, yo, I was just here to say hello to these nerds. You know, there's absolutely no alternative motive here, I promise.
Alrighty. So do you think we're going to see any like crazy deviations then as far as build goes?
I mean, Reynor, I feel like, is at his best when he tries to play Mudas, or maybe he can bust out some of that Ling Lurker, right? That was all the rage a little while ago. He's obviously capable of playing Roach Ravages almost as well as anybody else, don't get me wrong, but I feel that what sets Reynor apart in general is that he's pretty diverse and he's dynamic and he can play multiple styles. So I'd be sad to see him just mirroring Solar. I think he has the skills to do that, don't get me wrong, but I think he will have a better chance of succeeding in this best of 3 if he does play the opposite of what Solar does. And I think what Solar is going to do is, among the lines of what everything you said, is going to be kind of straightforward, right? Links, banks, test the waters. All right, let's make Roaches and Ravages and try to be awesome.
Alrighty, so it's going to be Acropolis here for the first game. Bit of a larger map, obviously. It's difficult to deal a lot of damage. I always find it fun to look at the production tab early on. Usually it's like most of the game, at least the first couple of minutes, almost mirrored. There we see the first deviation. A bit of a faster evolution chamber there for Reynor.
I thought you were going to say, like, his Overlord is slightly turned to the left and the other one.
Dude, like, but seriously, it's like also mirrored. The placement on the Bailing Nest as well, the edge of the creep, and then the Queen right next to it.
And that Overlord of Solar is really rude. It got its back turned towards the Overlord of Reynor. I mean, that's just unpolite, man. These Korean manners, not what it used to be.
I like a little Wolof. I feel like that's one of those Wolofs where it can go terribly wrong against the Zergling Flood, but not the case in this game.
Yeah, like you said, it's a pretty big map, right? I feel like in general you get a pretty big heads up if your opponent does decide to build a lot of Zerglings. There's a good little scout here by Solar, gets into the main base, doesn't see everything, but I think both players are pretty well aware of the fact that they're pretty much doing the exact same thing. +1 is a little bit quicker on the side of Reynor, but that's really the only difference.
Yeah, so you brought it up in the previous game, Bicasta, that getting first or second in this group is really, really important. I think both of these players are some of the favorites in this group, so I think winning this series is actually really, really important for them, right? Because if you win this one, there's a much larger chance that you can actually go out in first or second place, and then you save yourself a whole lot of troubles later on into the tournament.
No, totally with you. I think these are the two top favorites. I mean, the two highest seeded players in this group as well. But I think for most people that are neutral spectators here, and they'll be like, yeah, I think that Solar and Reynor are actually the top favorites in this group. Some people might want to put Creator in that mix. Some people maybe want to go for Lambo, even though Lambo still doesn't really get the credits he deserves, I think. I think his results have been very, very good and consistent lately. But I'm with you, so indeed, because with all due respect, we both expect Solar and Reynor to obviously beat the guys like Insane and Snoot in this group, and potentially Clem as well, even though I don't want to count Clem out against Reynor. I mean, Clem put up a good fight against Solar. But yeah, I'm with you. I think winning this series is very big, and then you're looking at an almost guaranteed finish for one of these two guys.
I mean, just look at the production tab for a little bit. It's just almost mirrored. I mean, there's some small deviations here and there, but for all intents and purposes, they're going for the exact same strategy. Bit of a faster fourth base, yeah, for Reynor, and then we saw the second evolution chamber coming up a little bit quicker as well. But there's some very, very minor deviations. That does mean that we're heading towards a Roach Ravager focused mid game, almost entirely skipping out the Ling Bane phase.
It's going to be fun though, right? Because both players are going to kind of be able to do what they want to do. And now it truly comes down to mechanics, because they're both going to have all the money in the world. They both have all the opportunity in the world to make great plays. So it will come down to the army movement and the engagements and stuff like that. I like that drop alert. Maybe drop a couple of roaches in the main base. This will most likely come down to multitasking and microing. And that's kind of the stuff we do in general like to see. We don't want to see build order wins or just one player gambling a lot. Like, nope, both these guys are basically approaching this saying like, I think I can outplay you. If we both do the same thing, let's get it on. Let's flex those muscles and see who's actually the stronger one here.
Alrighty, so a roach drop right here for the player in blue, and then a baneling drop for Reynor. He's probably looking for the main base. Yeah, this is actually a pretty big deal. I don't think there's much here to defend against this.
Roaches and a couple and one baneling.
He doesn't want to commit though.
It's a lot of damage already, right? Like, even if you don't get the kill immediately, I do feel that Reynor is setting himself up for eventually a much easier kill on that fort base. And fort base snipes are massive in ZvZ, especially if you're doing the exact same damn thing.
All right, now there is an overlord on the perimeter of the main base, so Solar should be able to respond against this baneling drop in time. The question is, he might expect that it's roaches. He's already responding to it, but he's not. Okay, yeah, he's starting to get a little worried now. Oh, this could be huge.
Well, he's still gonna get some, right? Oh, that's 7. Did not expect that. The roaches, traders, they block the drones. I mean, this drop is gonna be, I want to say, a little less overwhelming. Unless, I mean, if Reynor doesn't respond, roaches can obviously one-shot a drone. If you have 3 roaches, you can one-shot a worker. Hey, now actually the only baneling that was here is gonna get picked off. I mean, let's just see if Solar can get some good damage done in the main base.
Yeah, it does mean right now, though, the Reynor's push should be a little bit more powerful.
This is nice.
Yeah, it's always very annoying to deal with that, but baneling drop's not that common, actually, so I kind of like that. Just a cheeky move. Obviously, it's always a viable choice.
I think a Euro special. I feel like a lot of the E-Laser and Lambo like to do it as well, right? Like, as soon as the Link Bane phase is done, instead of just like throwing them away for almost nothing. Whoa, those crosser balls, they actually do kind of connect with quite a few of these roaches and ravages here. It does feel that Solar has the units here, though. The numbers, that is. Reynor is getting some reinforcements. I don't really like this fight for Reynor that much.
No.
I feel like he took it a little too fast, despite the fact that he did land some very good corrosive balls.
Once again, though, a couple of banelings. Apparently, Duke managed to connect, though, with the drones in the mineral line. Now the Roach Tunneling Claws upgrade is done as well. It basically just means that Solar can start being even more annoying when the roaches, with these roaches that he's got. Tunneling Claws, though, is going to finish up as well for Reynor in just a second. And both players really are really looking to play the same build.
Yeah, I still like the fact for Reynor that that fort base is quite low on HP. I do think that will set him up for a snipe eventually. Don't know when it's going to happen, but he only needs a couple of seconds to actually get the job done there. Now, Solar, I think, has unburrowed the roaches in the natural, so he's going to be able to get some damage done there. There are a few roaches here for Reynor. They're going to buy a tiny bit of time. Reynor is pounding on this port base, and his army setting up the flank as well. Here we go. This is a massive fight for Reynor, and this should be an overwhelming victory for the Italian.
Yeah, who needs a concave when you can go for a circle, right? I mean, it's a superior geometrical shape, but there's a lot more units coming from that high ground, though, for Solar. He does have that defender's advantage. The fort is low. You were talking about it. There we go. A couple of roaches do get the final hit there, but that hurts. Right? That's a lot of lost roaches.
It is, but he also picked off quite a few units in the beginning of that fight. Solar is going to need a pause. I'd say that's absolutely worth it. Reynor right now with a much stronger economy, 4-base production as well. And I mean, if Solar now commits to an attack, he might have a few more units on the battlefield at this moment, but I think by the time they truly fight, like in the natural or the 3rd base of Reynor, I think Reynor with defender's advantage is going to be more than fine. So I think Solar just going to have to take these losses on the chin and try to crawl his way back into this game with maybe a couple of roaches here and there and some minor harass.
All right, looks like the admin is already done discussing whatever it was, so we should be able to get back into it. There we go.
Mapufa. It's the return of Mapufa.
It's like Mufasa, except, you know.
Or Mapufa. Now, there is in a very weird version of Dutch, Pufa could be a fart. So it's like my Pufa, it's like my fart.
There you go.
It's a joke that we make every youngster. Gav, you set yourself up for this one, mate. I'm sorry. Now here we can see that Reynor is indeed stabilizing, I want to say. Even though Solar did a very good job swinging around there, actually gets quite a few units. The Ravage count is way healthier on the side of Solar.
Yeah, no Ravages actually makes zoning so much harder, but there we go. There's no more Overseer, so that means the big surround can once again be set up, this time around on the side of Reynor.
I love it. He gets right on top of these Ravagers. A couple of them pop immediately. And with the reinforcing roaches, gets the surround now as well. And those units that tried to get away there. That was a sweet move by Reynor. Obviously sloppy on the side of Solar, not having an overseer there. But, man, this is a good ZvZ.
Yeah, they are fighting all over the place. Still these roaches, though, in the natural, in the main base, continuously being annoying. Now, we do see the burrow upgrade being used defensively as well. Obviously works as well. Roaches nowadays don't heal up nearly as quickly anymore when they're tunneled on the ground. Still, though, very obviously a useful upgrade. Here we go. Reynor's had enough.
I mean, this is where that fourth base advantage really kicked in, right? That he had for so much longer, that he was mining of it. More production, more income. He was up in drones as well for quite some time, like 6, 7 workers. Whoa, small miss rally there by Solar. He's going to end up losing a couple of these roaches. Upgrades are even, but the numbers, they are not even. Reynor has quite a bit more. He does have to go up a ramp. Can get tricky, but I think that the young Italian is going to do it here, Loco.
Yeah, he's been playing a really solid game. Honestly, just simply outplaying Solar in this game, right? I mean, they opened up very similarly. He had that really nice detonation and the damage on that fourth with that group of Zerglings. And it's minor things like that that add up over time, and eventually his army is just much bigger. So well played there.
Yeah, the 7 drones, they do really matter, especially because Banes are not that important anymore in that phase in the game. So getting such a big hit is awesome. I still believe that getting all the damage on the fourth base is really big. You don't need to get the kill immediately, guys. The kill can come a minute or 2 minutes later as well. The impact will be just as big, if not even bigger, because by then there are more drones out on the field, and the mining becomes even more vital of that fourth base. So very, very strong game by Reynor. I'm not surprised, but I am impressed.
Yeah, for sure. Curious to see what Solar is thinking right now, though. He's like, okay, I played a normal, straightforward game, the one that I usually always win on the ladder. Why did it not work? What's going on? I didn't try anything cheeky. He may have gone for something cheeky if he won game number 1, right? Then he probably would be in a great spot right here in game 2. It's a best of 3, so he cannot lose the next one.
Solar's thinking, like, is this why Dark always just 13-12s these Europeans?
Is 12 pool really the best build?
Maybe these Europeans are good if the game goes past 8 minutes. I should kill him in 4.
He 12 pull drone rushes next game.
Yeah.
Surprisingly good build actually against like hatchery first openers. So what map is it? We're on Turbo Cruise. Oh no, wait, never mind. I was gonna say it's gonna be New Repugnancy. They vetoed Turbo Cruise.
Oh, that's a map that would allow some cheekiness, I'd say. We've seen obviously the final game of ZvZ Winter a couple of months ago between Reynor and Serral. The definition of cheeky right there. If you open the dictionary, it will say Game 7, Reynor against Serral. fake the Roach build into the Mesling all-in. Why not? Alrighty, let's see what our Korean Zergi will bring out here in Game 2. On the right top side of New Repugnancy, I would say one of the outsiders for this tournament. Maybe not a top favorite, but definitely an outsider. It is Solar.
And his opponent in the opposite corner, currently 1-0 ahead from Italy. We have Reynor.
Perhaps an outsider as well, but I'd say a dangerous outsider. Like,
I think both of these guys are perfectly capable of winning the whole thing. You know, like they're very strong. Obviously, there's always Serral. There's always going to be very strong players like that. And we have dogs. You know what? We can talk about the tournament all we want. You're right, Mapu. We need to talk about these dogs.
I would say, like Reynor for me is really up there. I'd probably put him as my 4th, 5th, or 6th pick to win this tournament. Solar maybe a tiny bit below that, but probably like 7th or 8th or 9th, something along those lines. So Solar winning this tournament would absolutely shock me a little bit. I'd be like, whoa, didn't see that come. Yeah, like recently he was in the Chinese tournament.
He did really well.
I think what?
He did really well.
I mean, he probably plays a lot of them, but the one that I saw, I think he lost against Ayasonu. And I'm like, well, if you're losing to Ayasonu's pretty damn good, don't get me wrong, but he's definitely not as good as like the Lambos, the Lasers, the Reynors, and definitely not Serral. So I feel like if you're losing to him, then I don't really see you winning a tournament with this many European Zergis.
Yeah, Wardy in the first game we cast today was going on and on about how impressed he was about Solar in that in that series rather that he played over in China. So
they have a lot of show matches in China as well. So maybe there's like 2 or 3 tournaments that happened in the last few weeks. It's hard for us to follow it in the Western world. It's like one day you wake up, you're like 4 a.m. It's like, oh, I'm jet lagged, and it's like, hey, Wardy's casting a Chinese tournament. That's so cool. And then like you wake up at 1 p.m. and it's like, wow, Wardy's casting European tournament. That's so cool. And then at 11 p.m. when you're done streaming, you're like, let's see what else is on. It's like, wow, Wardy is casting the NA Open. Man, does that boy ever sleep?
And then you look at what he's actually doing. It turns out it's a hotel stream from Korea all this time. You're like, wait a second, Wardy, what's going on?
I know. It's like, what? You went to Korea to have a holiday? Now you got the Masters Coliseum?
Oh, I love
Go
it.
out there, get some fried chicken, and get drunk already, mate. You deserve it.
I love that. I saw him posting about traveling to Korea to watch the GSL Grand Finals and to have some fun and whatnot. And then the next day, he's commentating an event from the hotel room.
But I did see him take pictures with raccoons, so I'm pretty damn sure that
There
he
you
had a
go.
good time.
Alrighty, so here we go. Once again, very similar openers here from both players. I like that wall, like making like a bit of a semi-wall with the queen as well. Don't need a tumor for that. But both players right here are fully aware of exactly what's going on. Reynor going for the faster evolution chamber.
Yeah, obviously we know that Reynor does like the upgraded Zergling styles as well, but this is a tiny map, so I feel like if he wanted to do it, well, there we go. Okay, actually fires up +1 melee. I felt like if he wanted to do that, it would have been a tiny bit more likely to see something like that on an Acropolis, right? Or
Yeah.
maybe Thunderbird down the line. I think that's a pretty big map as well, even though it's worse for run-bys. New Repugnancy, I think it's a tiny bit risky, but hey, if he can get away with it, and if he does get some very great early mid-game damage done, like this kind of stuff is hard to scout, right? Because if you're Solar, you can't be convinced that this is +1 melee. No way.
Yeah, you see like 12 Zerglings, right? Like how is that going to tell you much? It's not really going to do you all too good. We'll see what Solar wants to go for. If he wants to go +1 missile, I think so, considering the Roach Warren's coming up right now.
A lot
The
more
third base
standard.
was taken. Yeah, it's going to be easy for him to defend the natural, but holding on to the third base might be hard.
Yep, he needs to definitely get the right amount of Banelings. They're kind of trading out there. That's not really a massive victory either way. That's a massive cancel there. Reynor's going to get another cancel. And I said he needs to have the right amount of Banes. He doesn't have the right amount of Banes right now. Where is the Queen or something? There's just nothing here. Now that Queen is going to get surrounded. Wow, Loco, this could very well just be it. Look at these Banes, the drones. They are in a very rough spot. Reynor doesn't really get sick damage yet, but he's got so many links still. And don't forget about +1, guys. It's already